Good afternoon. My name is Baruch Schwarz. I'm from the Hebrew University. I'm sorry not to be with you at the CSCL conference in Philadelphia. Alisa told me that the conference is great, so enjoy, and I'm sorry that I cannot be with you. The first provocative question pertains to CSCL theory. I think that one of the most impressive achievements of our community has been the profusion of tools designed to enable diverse forms of collaborative practices. We can think about several big categories of tools. The first includes shared workspace environments that facilitate synchronous collaboration with structured graphical representation and visual semantics. Interrelated arguments, with Belvedere, for example, dialogic argumentation with Digalo, Lassade, or Argonaut, semantic networks or conceptual maps with Cool Modes or Group Scribble, or, for example, runnable models. The second category includes asynchronous communication and sharing of knowledge items with, for example, Knowledge Forum or WISE. There are, of course, other categories of tools. The first category challenges what we know about the creation of intersubjectivity in face-to-face interaction. There is here violation of no gap, no overlap. And the second category, the category of asynchronous interaction, brings problems of social presence, no immediate feedback, and written ideas may be misinterpreted, and so on. The question is that putting all these tools under the same umbrella of CSCL tools brings a lot of confusion. This diversity is not understood in a unified way that takes into consideration the nature of affordances of each of these tools. So the question here is that we need to make a priority of showing how the tools developed by the CSCL community really belong to the same family. The affordances and constraints for supporting and disrupting collaboration need to be comprehended through the same framework. The second provocative questions also pertains to CSCL theory. It is an old dilemma that all of us have shared. It is about scripts. They seem to have a coercive character and seem to suppress what collaborative settings were expected to bring some autonomy to learners. The script theory of guidance developed by Frank Fisher and his colleagues is supposed to palliate this problem as it replaces the passive reception of an external script by an encounter with an internal script. Pierre Chunikin has proposed in a recent article a social cultural approach that considers scripts as artifacts learners interact with when engaging in a situation structured by them. Learners may then appropriate the script rather than comply with its prescription, for example, in the context of didactical contract. So our provocative question is whether we need all these scripts. Perhaps our efforts should be put in the design of more implicit tools that do not prescribe but afford certain user behaviors. The design of awareness tools that are not non-coercive versions of collaborative scripts during interactions affords desirable actions among willful learners. Awareness tools can be informed by a computational approach that provides learners collectively with feedback on the interactive processes. The third provocative question is of a methodological point of view. It concerns what we see as the overuse of the terms collaboration and community. Too often, these terms point at an aspiration and more at the intentions of designers than the actual practices that are deployed. The decision whether an interaction is collaborative or not, and whether a community has been established or not, is not the object of systematic empirical investigation. So we are a bit stuck. CSCL research doesn't scrutinize enough the nature of interactions entailed by collaborative design. We contend that the emergence of collaborative processes is not ubiquitous, even with tools specially designed for this emergence. We need to develop clear criteria of evidence that can warrant claims for collaborative or community building processes and apply them to investigate the emergence of these processes. Otherwise, CSCL research cannot progress. The fourth provocative question also concerns methodology. The central object of study in CSCL research is meaning making. To study this object, the field has adopted both analytical and interpretative approaches whose methodologies and standards of evidence are dramatically different. They yield multiple stories about the same collaborative event and often produce incommensurate claims. This is a story of Rashomon. These problems express a theoretical and methodological gap. But the gap is not only among approaches, but also within approaches. The interpretative side provides a gap between theory and data. For example, conversational analysis doesn't address meaning making at all. And the analytical approach doesn't address meaning making directly. So the question here is about cohabitation or co-alienation. Some see the filling of this gap as an exciting research agenda. For them, that gap could be called a theory and model of the processes of elaboration of thinking, cognition in and by communicative interaction in collaborative situations. But so far, efforts in filling the gap have led to a deadlock rather than to a synthesis. We must then redouble efforts to determine whether the deadlock experienced thus far can be overcome or not.